Good morning, Grand Rapids. How you doing? What an exciting morning, and I haven't had any coffee yet, believe it or not. Welcome to the GOE Center. We are one of the statistics, an immigrant-owned business here in the city of Grand Rapids. Yeah, we're excited. We're excited. I've also been told to keep it short. You won't let me speak at all, but I want to say welcome. Thank you for being here. This is one of the most important reports that you will ever be able to listen to hear, and to act on. And I will tell you this. I'm not politically correct because I don't work in Lansing anymore. But I hope that after hearing the report and learning more about new Americans and their contributions, you will stand up with me and stop all this BS that we're hearing from certain local officials, certain state officials, and certain federal officials. So, let's get at it, let's do some work, and let's get out there and let's begin to recognize that we are a welcoming city, a welcoming state, and that we will work to ensure that everyone will have the opportunities that is afforded to all of U.S. citizens and U.S. residents. Thank you so much.
Good morning. It's great to see you all here. My name is Joel Lautenbach, and I serve as Samaritas' Executive Director of Development. I'm also the Gateways for Growth for Kent County Coordinator. And so this morning I have the honor of introducing this project to you. When Samaritas and the City of Grand Rapids and the Grand Rapids Area Chamber of Commerce jointly applied for a Gateways for Growth grant last year, we thought we were pursuing something important. But to see you all here supporting the impact of immigrants and refugees in our community is confirmation of how important this topic is. So it just brings joy to my heart to see this room full. Gateways for Growth is a national initiative supported by New American Economy and Welcoming America that seeks to help communities develop multi-sector strategic planning processes to make their communities more welcoming to immigrants and refugees. We applied for a tailored research award, which puts us, and we were granted this award, which puts us in the company of 25 communities around the nation. You may recognize some of them: Dallas, Chicago, Houston, San Diego, New Orleans, Tulsa. We're in great company here in Grand Rapids, and we were awarded this because they could tell we have a commitment from our both private sector and our government sector and the nonprofit sector combined to look at making our community more welcoming. I'd like to start by saying thank you. This community project release is supported by the generosity of Fifth Third Bank, Mercantile Bank, the Grand Rapids Community Foundation, and Sweet Express. And so I would like to say personally thank you to Pat Lonergan and his team at Fifth Third, and Sonali Allen and her team at Mercantile Bank. Let's give them a round of applause. And I think it's notable that these private sector institutions are committed to diversity and inclusion in our community, and they make major contributions to our economy as well. So we applied for this tailored research, and we believe that immigrants are vital to our future. We already know that they're here and that they're contributing. But the question is, what do we want to do going forward as a society to make sure that we have an opportunity for all people and that we all can benefit from their contribution? So I'll pass it over to our other distinguished speakers, and I'd like to introduce the Honorable Mayor Rosalind Bliss.
Good morning. Bing, I hope you weren't talking about me when you referred to local elected officials. All right, I'm just going to assume it's other people. All right, thank you. So as mayor of our absolutely amazing city, I want to welcome you this morning and thank you for being a part of this incredibly important conversation. And more importantly, I want to thank you for stepping up to the call for action, to leverage the diversity and economic strength of our community to make our city, our county, and our entire region more economically prosperous for every single person who calls Grand Rapids and Kent County and West Michigan home. One aspect of diversity is the increasing immigrant population and the addition of this beautiful tapestry of culture and languages that has a direct positive impact on our economy. Imagine if each and every one of us, every company and organization represented in this room today, brought back the data that is going to be shared and used that data to implement new policies and practices to lift up our immigrant neighbors and friends within our organizations by looking at our hiring and our promotions and our supply chain and our investments. This truly starts with every single one of us. And I'm proud at the City of Grand Rapids, and I know I have some colleagues in the back from the City of Grand Rapids who are with us today. I'm really proud at the work we're doing at the City of Grand Rapids to embed this work into our own initiative called Grow Our Own, where we are tapping into this valuable labor force. At the city, we have this incredible opportunity before us. Within the next 3 years, we likely will have roughly 50% of our employees retire. This is a significant opportunity to expand our languages and our cultures within every single one of our departments so that we can be more culturally and linguistically responsive to the wide range of residents and businesses that we work so hard to serve. And now it is time for all of us to come together. We need your incredible diversity of thought and experience and skills in order to truly be a national leader in this space. You've already made incredible contributions to our local economy. They are vast, and we are, I believe, I don't know if Bing agrees with me, but I believe that we are the shining light in Michigan because of a lot of the work that we do together with our public-private partnerships. We have positioned ourselves already as a welcoming city. We stand by that, and we are very proud of that. Yet we know that that is not enough. Action is required to move the needle, to ensure that we all can benefit from our city's success. So we look forward to being a part of this next phase of the Gateways for Growth initiative, one of strategic planning, where together we will build a more diverse and unified future for Grand Rapids and our entire region. While I have the microphone, I also want to give a shout out to a very humble person who has worked really hard to make today possible. So Joel, I want to say thank you for your passion and your commitment and your leadership through this entire initiative. We would not be here truly without you, so thank you. So now please join me in giving a warm welcome to our president of our local Chamber of Commerce, Rick Baker.
Well, good morning. I'd like to add my welcome to the group this morning. We were really pleased with the response that we received for this breakfast, overwhelmed actually. So we're glad that you're here. The Grand Rapids Chamber was happy to be a partner in the study when Joel called me a year ago, I guess, almost, and asked if we would be engaged in this process. I don't think it took me more than a minute to respond. I think he barely got the words out of his mouth, and I said, absolutely, we want to be a part of this. Because this gives us an opportunity to change the dialogue in our community, to take our dialogue, our conversations to a whole new level, and change the narrative about this conversation and the impact the new Americans have on our local region. We can bring data to the conversations and to the policy decision making. You're going to hear a lot of data. My friend Guillermo is going to walk through the report with you, so I'm not going to touch on the data. I will let him do that, but I do want to touch a little bit. They asked me to speak from a business perspective, a little bit about why this is important, why we wanted to be a part of this study. And I want to share with you, at the Chamber, we went through a process just a couple of years ago and asked our board and asked our staff, what's your passion with this organization? What gets you up in the morning, wants you to come to the Grand Rapids Chamber of Commerce? And both groups independently came up with the same answer, and that was, we want to create a thriving, prosperous West Michigan for all. And we capitalized all, touching on what the mayor said, that we want everyone to participate in this growing, dynamic Grand Rapids community that we all love. There are two aspects of the business community. Those, we often talk about employment, but we also heard this morning from being about entrepreneurship. And so in both places, we benefit from the diversity of thought, the diversity of experiences when we have those people in our organizations or at our board tables. And so for an organization like ours, we've been very committed to embedding diversity, equity, inclusion in all of our, throughout our organization, so that we have that diversity of thought at our boardroom table, at our staff planning sessions, throughout our organization, because we know we will be better as a result of that input. One of the things I want to do is raise the bar just a little bit on the comments, the referencing of this being a welcoming community. I think we can do better than welcoming. We need everyone to feel like they belong here. Not just that they're welcome here, but that they belong in Grand Rapids and that they are a valuable part of our community, that they are a valuable part of our systemic change that we will see as a region, and that they are a valuable contributor to our success. If we can get to the place of everyone feeling like they belong here, Grand Rapids will dominate the economy in the United States, because no one has that yet. That's going to be our secret to success in the future. And so I think that should be our stretch goal as a community, is to make sure everyone feels like they belong here. With that, I have the privilege of turning the podium over to Tim Mraz from The Right Place. Tim?
Well, thank you, Rick. Good morning, everyone. I want to start this morning by just saying thank you. Thank you to those that graciously volunteered their time and their talents to make this project a reality. The report you see in front of you is really a result of a team effort. There's a lot of people that put in a lot of hours of volunteer time to make this happen. So if we can just thank the team that put that together for us, thank you. And I do want to be selfish for a minute. Our own Dave Riley is here today with us. Dave was our point person on the project. So Dave, on behalf of The Right Place, I want to thank you for the hours you put in. So for those unfamiliar with The Right Place, we are West Michigan's economic development organization. We work with businesses around the region to help them grow, help them invest in their companies, and ultimately really create jobs in our community for our citizens. And I tell you, we're proud to have just even been invited to be part of this project. From an economic development standpoint, immigration and foreign-born talent are vital to our region's long-term economic growth and prosperity. Look, when you look at it, we are all part of an expanding global community. I mean, if you look around us today, how many different cultures and countries are represented here? And from a business standpoint, as a result, our businesses are being asked to operate in an expanding global marketplace. Now more than ever before, West Michigan businesses need the unique, diverse, global perspective that only international talent can provide to those companies. Right now we're in an era of this unique economic growth, unique business growth. We're in an era where the talent demand out there is far outpacing the available supply that's here in our region. And our immigrant and foreign-born community is playing a key role in filling that gap. One of the things you'll see in that report is that, through the report we found that even about 10% of Kent County's labor force is represented by our immigrant community. From manufacturing and warehousing to agriculture and construction, our community is filling some of the most much needed jobs in our community, and they're moving our regional economy forward. they're doing their part. Foreign-born entrepreneurs, and also it's not just about jobs. We have foreign-born entrepreneurs. I met Sweet Express this morning that are building businesses in our community. Businesses that one day, to be honest, may be the next Meyer, may be the next Amway. They may be the next Herman Miller. Corporations that give back to our community and corporations that create thousands of jobs in our community. So are we excited about this project? Hell yes. We're really excited about it. But here's the most important part. I'm excited about where we go from here. A report is one thing, but where do we go from here? Where do we take that next step? How do we push things forward? Because I think, and I think the right place believes, that we can create a regional economy. And we can create a regional economy that creates opportunities for everyone in our community. And one that enables West Michigan to operate on a truly global scale. So thank you. Now I have the honor of introducing Guillermo Cisneros, the Executive Director of the West Michigan Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, to share with you some of the results of this project. Thank you.
Buenos días a todos. How are you doing today? Great. Muchísimas gracias por tomar el tiempo esta mañana para estar con nosotros y escuchar el reporte que estamos a punto de compartir con todos ustedes. Thank you very much for taking the time out of your morning to be with us as we share with you the official release of this report. Please bear with me for a few minutes. We tried to summarize this report the best we could, and I feel that you will find very interesting information, and it's going to be great to be able to digest this information once you get to your office and read it a little bit more. So I'm thrilled to share this information with you all. When this event was first announced, we were overwhelmed by the support and interest that was shown by all of you for not only Kent County, but its ever-growing, ever-important immigrant community. I am incredibly impassioned by the data that Gateways for Growth has been able to collect, and I'm hopeful that upon presentation, you will feel the same. Not only is this report relevant to economic and labor capital, but also social and human capital that greatly impacts the county in which many of us live our lives. I have had the truly unique opportunity to be considered an immigrant, not once, but twice in my lifetime. In 2003, I left my home in Campeche, Mexico, to move to Spain, where I spent 6 wonderful years. In 2009, I again wore the title proudly when I moved to the United States. When I define myself as an immigrant, I am also defining myself as a hard worker, a dedicated individual, and someone who loves each place I have been lucky enough to call home. In 2016, over 50,000 immigrants shared my experience as they called Kent County home. As the overall county population grew by 4.6% in the 5 years between 2011 and 2016, the immigrant population grew over 3 times faster at a rate of 15.3%. This is an outstanding opportunity to consider the pool of talent, the new ideas, the great spirit that this population is able to bring to our community. 8% of your neighbors, your coworkers, and your friends in Kent County are immigrants. While I join a large majority of immigrants from Mexico that make up to 24.7% of the immigrant population, The reported top countries of origin living in the county are also Guatemala at 8.3%, Vietnam at 7.8%, Bosnia at 4.9%, and Canada at 4.8%. This means that 49% of our immigrant population comes from other origins, with hundreds of countries, towns, and localities represented in just our county alone. Bhutanese, Nigerian, French, Indian, Iraqi, Taiwanese, the list goes on. We are fortunate to enjoy the diversity and range of unique experiences that each of these groups is able to provide to our community. This diversity reaches beyond social settings and into our economy. In 2016, foreign-born residents in Kent County contributed $3.3 billion to the area's GDP. Everybody says $3.3 billion. Isn't that amazing? Our county has benefited and continues to benefit greatly in several ways from these contributions. Of the $1.3 billion that was earned by immigrant households in 2016, $219 million went to federal taxes, $101 million went to state and local taxes, leaving immigrants with $943 million in spending power. This spending power is used at your store, your bakery, your car lot, etc. Immigrants are walking through your doors every day, using their hard-earned income to support businesses and our local economy. This spending and support helps further sustain our regional economic prosperity in more than commercial ways. In regards to federal social programs in 2016, the immigrant workforce in Kent County contributed with over $124 million to Social Security and $33 million to Medicare. These programs are vital to health and wellness of our community, of elderly and disabled individuals, as well as our neighbors living in poverty, our single mothers, and several others. Allowing immigrants to contribute to our system ensures the future of our pensions, our so-called entitlement programs, and much more. It is also relevant to note the differences in which US-born residents and foreign-born residents are utilizing these programs to which they are continually contributing. While 31% of US-born residents in Kent County used Medicaid or Medicare, only 26% of foreign-born residents use the same programs. So, while immigrants help sustain the ability for Kent County to provide these much-needed services, the same population is using them almost 7% less than their US-born counterparts. Let that resonate, as we are often convinced that our immigrant brothers and sisters, hermanos y hermanas, take more from the system than they give. And we can clearly and proudly say that is not true. Before I moved to this nation, I had been working in human resources for a worldwide Spanish media corporation. When I first arrived to the United States, I was not sure where to begin to look to continue my career. My English was limited, and the workforce was not necessarily accepting of this. I found myself, broom in hand, working at the Home Depot. In 9 years, I worked in customer service, retail, insurance, and now in the nonprofit sector. Like myself, immigrants play a critical role in several of these key industries, including STEM, in which almost 10% of the workers are immigrants. Other key fields of employment include over 45% in agriculture, 15% in manufacturing, 11% in transportation and warehousing, 11% in hospitality, and almost 10% in construction. These individuals are our engineers, our bus drivers, our line foremen, our construction workers. Gateways for Growth estimates that immigrants living in the Kent County created or preserved 2,308 local manufacturing jobs in 2016 that would have otherwise vanished or moved elsewhere. So, in short, not only are immigrants filling several of these positions, they are actually preserving many of the jobs they are assuming, further decreasing unemployment while revitalizing and stabilizing our local economy and the industries that make it so strong. At the Hispanic Chamber, we work every single day with business owners and hopefuls, including many excited and creative entrepreneurs. A few months ago, a young woman named Loranelli, who happens to be an immigrant, walked into my office and she says to me, "Tengo una gran idea para un camión de comida. I have a great idea for a food truck." She didn't have licensing, food safety certification, or even a logo. We worked with her step by step, and now she has her truck, her name, and her licensing, and she's ready to sell her own product from her own business. Loranelli's story is inspiring and the perfect tale of the American dream that the 1,971 immigrant entrepreneurs in Kent County strive for. These almost 2,000 entrepreneurs generated $47 million in business income in Kent County. Their revenue allows Kent to be a bustling and prosperous county that welcomes a diverse pool of creators and business owners. In 2012, Hispanic-owned businesses generated $327 million in sales and paid 2,139 employees, as Asian-owned businesses generated $492 million in sales with 2,941 employees. As well, African-American-owned businesses creating $133 million in income with about 727 employees. These are more than statistics and facts. These are the numbers that drive our local and fiscal success that the US and foreign-born workers, owners, and entrepreneurs alike benefit from and contribute to. While 8% of the US-born population in Kent County identify as self-employed, about 6% of immigrants identified similarly. While this group is ever expanding, our community will consistently profit from this growth, becoming on par with or even surpassing the US-born population. While the labor force is hugely impactful on our economy, the step prior for many is also vital. which is education. From our young first graders at Cesar Chavez to our college graduates at Grand Valley, our immigrant students play an essential role in Kent County. In 2016, 27% of immigrants over the age of 25 held a bachelor's degree or higher. That is more than 1 in 4 who have spent money on tuition, books, and laptops, and who have listened to professors at GRCC, Grand Valley State University, Ferris State University, MSU, and many more. To emphasize just how driven and increasingly educated the local immigrant population is, 12% of them have advanced degrees, compared to 11% of those born in the United States. This means a higher percentage of foreign-born residents of Kent County have masters and doctorates than US-born residents. This is remarkable. Beyond labor and spending power, lay other factors of a healthy, prosperous community, including housing, wealth. Gateway for Growth has found a majority of immigrants' households own their homes at a rate of 54%, with a total property value of $1.7 billion. While it is impressive to know that a little over half of the immigrant households in Kent County own their homes, it is important to note that 66 of US-born residents do as well. This means we have areas of opportunity to be further inclusive and intentional in regards to housing and home ownership for our immigrant community. One step in improving home ownership rates and other aspects is the process of naturalization. 41% of immigrants were naturalized citizens in 2016, constituting a total of 20,745 naturalized immigrants. This does not include the additional 28% of the remainder that were eligible for naturalization. We hear several companies discussing labor shortage. Where are the workers? How can we fill these spots? We can all just imagine the amount of opportunities for businesses in need of expanding and diversifying their workforce if these nearly 8,306 eligible immigrants were naturalized. A topic we can all agree is especially sensitive and hotly debated is undocumented immigrants. It is an important conversation to have, and one that does not require politicizing. It is a fact that there are at least 13,384 undocumented immigrants living in Kent County. These immigrants work in several key industries, similarly to you and I, with 29% of the undocumented immigrant population working manufacturing, 20% working in hospitality and recreation, 13% in construction, 12% agricultural workers, and 9% in other professional services. The rest 17% in other fields. 13,384 undocumented immigrants. What would happen if we took this chunk of individuals from our economy? Thousands of local manufacturing positions would be abandoned. Many construction jobs would be left unfinished. And our businesses and organizations would suffer immediately. This is not social. This is not political. This is factual. If we can recognize that these individuals are in our county and working hard, don't we want to capture these contributions? Do we not all benefit? While we have focusing on the immigrant population, it is equally necessary to recognize refugees. With a median income of $54,000 in 2016, refugees in Kent County out-earn the median income of refugees in the entire country by over $1,000. We can also see that income increases significantly based on the number of years lived in the United States. Those who have lived here for under 5 years earned around $21,782, while those who have been here for more than 25 years earn 3 times the amount at $67,000. Personally, even though I'm not a refugee, this embodies my professional journey as someone who started in a beginner role at a retail chain to the executive director of a local nonprofit. We need to assist these refugees and immigrants as they advance in their careers. I was given a chance because someone made the decision to believe in me and open a door for me. As an immigrant, I believe that we work with ethic and resiliency over time. The income trajectory for refugees and immigrants is likely to continue upwards, and that directly and positively impacts each of you, your businesses and organizations, and our local economy. Our local refugee population makes up 15% of the immigrant population, meaning 7,607 immigrants are refugees. And of those, over half, or 4,600, are naturalized citizens. 22% in total have a bachelor's degree, with over 7% holding an advanced degree. Around 6% of the refugee population works in transportation and warehousing, trickling down to 1% in general services. Again, many of these are educated, hardworking individuals that contribute endlessly to our local economy via employment at our small, large businesses alike, with home ownership and with spending power. Armed with this data and statistical knowledge, I hope each one of us can continue to appreciate and uplift the immigrant and refugees community around us and in Kent County. From those of you whose grandparents have seen Lady Liberty with her heels pressed on the horizon of Ellis Island, to those of who made freely the decision to start a new life, to those who are forced to flee their homes under dire conditions, it is undeniable that this population contributes in numerous ways to Kent County. As you listen to me, an immigrant, detail this report to a room full of some of the foremost business leaders in Kent County and Grand Rapids, I hope you all realize our shared vested interest in this community and their contributions. Your favorite cashier, your kid's second grade teacher, the doctor you have visited for 10 years, and any of these could be one of the 50,176 immigrants in Kent County. Thank you. And I would like to turn the mic to Joel Lautenbach, who will moderate the Q&A.
Wow. Thank you, Guillermo. That was inspiring, even though it was data, right? We're going to move into a Q&A. I know that we're all very busy professionals, so we're going to work within the allotted time to 9 o'clock. In order for everyone to hear your question, I'd encourage you to raise your hand and wait until one of the wireless mics is brought to you for your question, and I'll pass that on to our panel, okay? So does anybody have a question about the report or Gateways for Growth? A hand in the back.
Is this going to be available online?
This report is online at the Gateways for Growth website, and it's also going to be released in a number of different press releases and social media today. Yep, that's live now.
Yeah, I have one question about naturalization. In the report, it says that 28% of immigrants who could apply for naturalization have not done so. Do you know why some of these immigrants decide not to?
That's a good question. Naturalization eligibility is a function of time in the country as a resident. I think it's 5 years with some other stipulations. It could be shorter if, I think if you're married to a resident or to a citizen. But generally speaking, it's a choice that someone needs to make after they're eligible. There is a process that you go through. Any other comments on that from the panel? So I can't really describe the particulars of why someone would not choose beyond maybe there are some barriers or the cost. But we, I think, as a community, want to encourage people to be citizens and to become full participants in our community. Ironically, the refugees and immigrants that I've known that have become naturalized citizens often know more about American government than I do. So I challenge everyone to take that test.
I can say something.
Hi, I have a question over here. My name is Margarita. Thank you for inviting us to this wonderful event. And my question is that, I was just so impressed how the data was delivered this morning by Senor Guillermo. And I just wondered if that was recorded, because I would love to share that in a way in which, because if I go back, I'll probably talk numbers.
Sure.
But he did it in such an eloquent way that how do I share that with others that can be influenced by that presentation?
Thank you. Great question. Grand Rapids Community College has supported this event by video recording the whole presentation, and that will be available for people to watch at their convenience. So I don't know exactly the timeline on that, but as soon as possible. Yeah. Another question over here.
Good morning. I have a question for the mayor. Mayor Bliss, you mentioned that the city is engaged in this work based on your business necessity of having many people at retirement age. And I wondered if you could give us a little bit more information about the approach that you're taking at the city.
Yeah. So I'll answer in two ways. One is we were similar to Rick Baker when we received the call from Smeritus and asked to be a part of this initiative, the Gateways for Growth. We were a quick yes. So we've been engaged in this work and supportive of this work early on from the first call that my office got from Joel. In a more broad macro level way, the city for years has been talking about how do we truly become a welcoming city where everyone feels like they belong. And I love what Rick said, that it goes beyond welcoming, and it really does. We need to create a community where people truly feel like they're not just invited to the table, but they're invited to speak at the table and have a voice and influence. In the city, we're doing we have a number of initiatives. And I know I have a team here from the city, and we can get you some more information. We were part of the Government Alliance on Race and Equity, and so we've been doing a number of things internally around embedding racial equity into our work. including in the budget process, our policies and procedures. But then in hiring, we started a number of initiatives, one being called, which we call Grow Your Own, where we're intentionally going out into communities and educating them about how do they apply for jobs, educating them about civil service and the tests that are required, and really working alongside them to open up doors. What we heard really clearly is a lot of people felt that there were significant barriers, and a lot of people, particularly if English is not their first language, they really felt like the city was not a welcoming place. So we're doing all of that. Largely our HR department is leading that work. Yeah, so thank you for the question.
We got another question right over here as well.
Good morning. Thank you for all the information. I'm working on financial education, so I have a question about, I noticed that you have a median income of 54,000. I just wonder if you have any number of how much people saved for their own future, for their own retirement. Thank you.
That was about refugees. Did I gather that right? The question, 54,000?
Yes.
Yeah, when we were looking at that data and the report process, a lot of the refugee agencies were very surprised that that number was so high. And that's why we added that note in the report that Kent County has long been a welcoming community for refugees. And we have refugees that have been a part of our community for decades. And so when you think about the history that we have and the amount of refugees, that's why that average is so high. But if you look at the national data, when they first start out, it's quite low. And Guillermo referenced that. And over time, that income really increases as that work ethic and the resiliency to provide for themselves and for their families, plays out. And if I heard you right, your question was about retirement? Yep. And so I'm not sure what implication that has for retirement. I would hope that a refugee would participate in many of the same opportunities that most of us have through retirement plans, but some may not, and they may be in the same situation as many of what we call our baby boomers are today, where they're retiring without a lot of resources. So I think that's a broader issue for our country, and I'm not sure we can understand a lot from that statistic on that retirement topic. I did get an answer from Grand Rapids CC. We'll have a link to this video recording later today. With a mic, somebody with a mic?
Good morning. I appreciate that our local government exists and is doing work, as you just explained, Mayor Bliss and Guillermo, with the Hispanic Chamber, some of the work that you're doing. But as somebody not involved in one of those organizations, what is something that I can be doing on a day-to-day basis to support this community and make people feel more welcome and that they belong in our community?
Well, I think beyond getting involved in an organization, we all are responsible for our own behaviors, right? Everything, the change starts with us and how we interact, how we make our decisions, purchasing decisions, how we make decisions in hiring. And so the change begins with each one of us as individuals. If you are a leader in your company, then it needs to be a priority for your organization and you as an individual, and become part of the strategy that's built into your company's strategic plan. But as individuals, beyond getting involved in organizations, it's really our own behaviors. It's about making conscious decisions of how we're going to respond to someone, how we're going to interact with someone, and our purchasing power. And so it's within all of us, really, to make change in our community and how we interact with our neighbors.
Thanks, real quick. One of the things that we've seen at the Right Place in working with businesses around the area, and I'll call out Beth Kelly in HR Collaborative, is that really start with your hiring practices. Start with your HR. There's a lot of great tools and a lot of great resources in West Michigan to help battle conscious bias, unconscious bias in your hiring practices. A lot of our larger corporations are implementing those, but that's starting to trickle down to a lot of our smaller businesses. So, a lot of it starts easily in your HR department. What practices are you doing to weed out applicants? What things are you not, are an automatic no? When you're looking at at different, when you're looking at an application, what are those certain things that if a certain section isn't filled out, it's an automatic no? Well, that's a bias that you've put into that process, and how is that affecting your applicants, you know, when you're going through the application pool? So I would start with HR to begin with, but.
We have time for one or maybe two final questions.
Yes, I'm with the Refugee Education Center. We work with children of refugees. I noticed there wasn't any data on children, and they surely were represented in the data that you provided. So, question, did you collect data to show the children in that data?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the report really chiefly dealt with the economic impact of adults. Certainly many of our immigrant and refugee neighbors are parents, and they do have children. This data set came from the US Census data. And the New American Economy Project through Gateways for Growth really mined that data and brought these types of figures forward. So, you know, just as much as the US Census has data on children, that's what's available out there. So we didn't study that through this report. One last question.
Yes, well, thank you very much for compiling this very important information. It's very powerful information for all of us, and as an immigrant, I'm proud to be a contributor to these statistics. My question is, what is next? Where are you taking this from this point, and also how can we all contribute to that?
I promise he wasn't a plant, because phase two, great question. So Gateways for Growth is really designed for our community to have strategic planning and for us to take action. You've heard that call from the beginning when Bing opened with a welcome through the remarks of our speakers. And so as we move forward, we want to bring people together. So today, the data is important, but really it represents an invitation to a process. There are a lot of great organizations and businesses and entities that are committed to this already. And our community does have a rich history, but how do we become a more welcoming place? So to begin with, over the next 4 months, we'll be gathering the immigrant and refugee community's feedback. And in the first quarter of 19, we'll be applying for a Gateways for Growth grant award on technical assistance in strategic planning. And that feedback process starts today. We have another event for the community at Cesar Chavez School at 5:30 this afternoon. And at that event, we'll have stakeholder feedback stations where people can write their comments, their questions, and submit that. And so starting today, we really want to invite you into this process. And as we move into 2019, we want to bring that together and have a staff in place to support, to coordinate our community's efforts to develop multi-sector strategic planning. And so housing, education, healthcare, government, business, we want all those people to be welcome into this conversation. So it's not prescriptive at this point, but the invitation begins today, and we want to invite our business community and other stakeholders to support it, whether that's financial support so that we can staff and support this process, to bring their knowledge and their practices and their goals, and for us all as a community to realize that together we can become even more welcoming. And we don't know all the answers, but we want to figure them out. So phase two looks like that in a couple different ways, and invite you to connect with me afterwards, and we can continue that conversation. But we are at time, and I'd like to just say thank you again to our sponsors, Sweet Express, Mercantile Bank, and Fifth Third, some of the other supporters. And I would really encourage you, really encourage you to talk with your coworkers, people that are on social media, and have them join us at Cesar Chavez School. And I think I would be remiss if I didn't say, and maybe just have everybody that was involved in planning this and on the report team over the last year to maybe stand up, and we can appreciate their work and efforts. They were all standing already, so that's why you didn't see a lot of people stand up. So on behalf of Samaritas, the City of Grand Rapids, the West Michigan Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, and the Grand Rapids Area Chamber of Commerce and the Right Place, thank you so much for being here this morning, for enjoying this wonderful food and giving us your rapt attention. Please take a report, share it with someone, and we'll be publishing that link. And so if you do want to connect with us afterwards, we'll be available for some time. So bless you and have a wonderful day.